College bookstore power-tripping clerk. A few years ago I was heading to class to take a final in my music history class and forgot a Scantron. I stopped by the college bookstore, grabbed a Scantron and ran up to the counter. This is when I met her. Her was a mid-50s woman with wrinkles on her face that can only come with holding a constant scowl on your face for decades. When I pulled out my card she pointed to a sign that said $10 minimum. Yes, $10. The Scantron was about 20 cents. I can totally get a $5 minimum, but 10. Come on. Well, I didn't have any change in my pocket, but there was a take a penny, leave a penny jar. So I reached over and grabbed a couple of dimes someone was kind enough to leave. Her put her hand over the jar and said you can leave change but you can't take change. At this point I figured I could either get really upset or play the game she wanted. I told her I understood and that there were a few more items I still needed. I proceeded to go to the furthest corners of the store and pick up about $200 worth of small items from the highest, lowest, and most inconvenient spots in the store. I walked up to the counter with my basket. The entire time, her had a wicked smile on her face like she'd won. Well, as soon as I signed for the items I told her I'd like to return everything but the Scantron please. She was livid. People don't usually yell at me, but she completely lost it. She ended up calling campus police and the other workers. When the campus police arrived they informed her that what I did was completely legal. Her couldn't handle it but had to refund me for everything but the Scantron. The campus police told me with a smirk to please not do that again. I said yes sir and headed to my final. I was about 20 minutes late for the final but ended up making an A. I cut my lawn in random directions because it makes my neighbor crazy. Neighbor is a retired 70-something former preacher or pastor or whatever. He's also a judgmental prick who, despite not living in a neighborhood with an homeowners association, makes weekly rounds through the neighborhood looking for any minor code violations, things like flowers that are overhanging onto the sidewalk by an inch or two, etc. He can report to the city to get the owners fined. He mows his lawn twice per day during the summer and has a bed of green that would make Hank Hill cream himself. I take pride in my yard, but it's 70% native plants and wildflowers with a small patch of grass in the front. I don't water the grass because pouring water on the ground seems stupid to me, but it, along with a healthy mix of other stuff, comes in pretty full and there aren't any bare spots anyway. I mow every 5 days, less if we're in a dry spell and it grows slower. Anyway, when I get out there, I cut all the grass, but with a focus toward leaving a path that is as baffling as possible. Sometimes I will attempt a checkerboard and then veer off into spirals, other times I will approach with an even more abstract eye. The grass doesn't seem to mind and I enjoy the challenge of thinking of new ways to traverse the lawn. Today I saw my neighbor standing out front with his F-up grandson that got sent to live with him for some reason. He was complaining to him about something, throwing his hands up in the air, clearly very exasperated. Then he gestured toward my lawn and then made a little spiral gesture while contorting his face in disgust. I don't know exactly what he said, but I imagine he was lecturing him about how if he didn't get his life together, he'd end up like me, the neighbor with the weird lawn. Small victories, you know? Take up half of my seat, expect me to sleep on you. I'm the kind of person who would actively try to avoid conversations with strangers in public, so when I was in the subway a guy came up and sat next to me. Usually, I don't mind people sitting next to me, but the whole train was empty and that he could have just sat one seat away and I probably wouldn't even notice as I'm currently half asleep while waiting to arrive at my station. Once he sat next to me, I immediately woke up as I felt someone's body brushing against my shoulder. I didn't mind of course and just continued to mind my own business. He later went on to slowly nudge me out of my seat, which irritated me as he could have just moved a seat away if he wanted more space and I was literally sitting at the corner with nowhere else to go. I was slightly pissed and told him to move a little back to his own seat. But about 2 minutes later, I was facing the same problem again. So I said F it and went to sleep and had to lean against him as I had limited space to myself. I could tell he was pissed initially, but oh well, I had already told him off and he didn't really care about it. Thanks for watching and don't forget to give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Have a good one.